Hi, I'm Ed Chocolate from circuitbenz.com. Today we're going to modify a Casio SA-5. What we're going to do is we're going to install a switch, a potentiometer and a body contact. These will be wired to one of the chips on the board, and what that will do, it will create a random music generator. Nice glitches, nice random glitches that you can play along to. Let's go. These are the tools we'll be using today. A Chinagraph pencil to mark the holes on the case. A small hand drill to drill the pilot holes. A hole reamer to widen those pilot holes to the component size. For the body contact, the switch and the pot, we'll probably need a different size hole. And then finally a little deburrer just to clean the holes up nice and tidy. I recommend that you have a selection of pliers and wire cutters at hand. A straight cutter, side cutter and long nose needle pliers. All of these I find really useful. I use them all the time. I recommend you find the best pliers you can with the most comfortable grip, because they're going to be in your hand quite a lot. Next is a trusty old Stanley knife, perfect just for removing the outer casing from the cables. And we're going to use one of a small set of jeweler's screwdrivers, which we'll use as the body contact to find the glitch on the circuit board. We've got about half a farad of capacitance on our body. We're made of water. We conduct electricity really well. So essentially what we're doing is we're shorting that part of the circuit to ground, and that way we can find the glitch. Next, I recommend you have a couple of vices at hand. Quite often in soldering you need three hands to do the jobs. One to hold the bit you're soldering to, one to hold the bit you're soldering, and one to hold the soldering iron. So a small device like this just really helps for tinning cables, tinning components. Tinning is where you apply a small amount of solder to the tab that you're going to solder to prior to soldering it. It's essential really, and it's part of the soldering process, but more of that later. And finally, a soldering iron. I recommend you get the best one you can afford and try and get one with a variable temperature control. You'll need something very hot to desolder large components, but something not so hot to solder something heat sensitive like an integrated circuit, little IC chip. So I recommend you have one with a little bit of temperature control. Also, before you start, wet your sponge, because after every soldering event you need to clean the solder tip, otherwise you'll be buying more and more soldering tips and there's no reason for it. This is the SA-5. We've opened it up, so we're going to have a look inside now and find the glitch. Oh look, speaker's loose. That's going to be a bit of a pain, isn't it? So a little bit of tape, hold it in place. You're going to be turning this over and over constantly throughout the session, so stick it down, then you won't have that problem. You won't disconnect the speaker. Okay, let's find the glitch. I put power into it and I'm turning it on, start the demo song, and with the body contact I'm going to touch the components on the board to try and find a glitch point. That turned it off. Restart, it'll crash regularly. Let's try up here. Ah, look, that changed it. There we go. So there's your glitch point. It's one of the components right next door to the crystal, the clocking crystal on the circuit board. And by touching this with my pen, that's what glitches it. I reckon it'll need an attenuator, and that will wire into our body contact. I've marked the board, pin 3 from the end here and pin 4 from the end here, and I'm going to connect those two with a wire and a switch and a potentiometer, and that will activate our basic glitch control. And then we've got a body contact orientated glitch control. Two types of glitch. Let's mark up the case for the component holes. The glitch pot, glitch activation switch and body contact with its internal attenuator. Proffer up the pot. Hole should go about there. Switch should go about here. Body contact about here. Firstly, we're going to tin the contacts on the components. This means applying a small amount of solder so that they're ready to be soldered together. Here we go. Bring the soldering iron up, apply the solder to the joint. Flow a small amount of solder. A small amount, I mean. Less is more often with these. That way you don't end up with a nasty kludged up contact that looks horrid and may not even be a very good contact. What you want is for the solder to dry shiny. If it dries grey, that may mean it's not a very good soldered joint and will probably give you problems in the future. Okay, let's tin the wires. Neat trick, clamp your soldering iron. Bring the solder up, bring the wire in. Little bit of solder on the end of the wire. Do all the wires the same. As you can see, it's only a small amount of solder every time. That's all you need. The solder itself completely encases the end of the wire, the exposed piece of wire. And when you put the two components together, that solder melts. It will melt on both components and smoothly make a nice, secure, conductive joint. Let's start putting the wires to the components now. Put a little solder on the soldering iron. Offer up the wire. Bring the soldering iron in contact. Shiny contact. Simple as that. Get the wire into shape. Offer it up to the contact. Small amount of solder. Shiny contact. Wipe your soldering iron. Okay, all the wires are now in place. As you can see, this component traces round to there and to there via this switch. And then this is the body contact with a small attenuator that I've soldered actually internally so that I can set its depth control, or how much it actually causes that connection to short out. There we go. All that's left now is to assemble the case, put the knob on it, and let's glitch. Back's on. There we go. The finished glitched Casio SA-5. Glitch amount, glitch on or off, body contact glitch. Let's try it out. Hook my power up to it, turn it on. Still works as a standard SA-5, but now if I hit the demo, off she goes. Now this might sound crazy, this little loop, but sample off a little chunk, have it running behind, grab some Apple loops, get someone to play around on a bass, little bit of guitar. Hell, you're an electro punk band.